Hi, Tracy. You were telling me about the 5 channels of awareness, and I had to get this on video because I know it's going to be some really great information, and I could not miss out on having this recorded. So let's dive into that.
There's 5 channels of awareness that we all navigate through life with. And you can think of them kind of like the 5 senses. So hearing, taste, touch, etc. The 5 channels of awareness go from the most conscious down to our subconscious or least conscious. So our most conscious channel of awareness, where the majority of us live most of the time, is the mind channel. And the mind channel likes to tell us things. It likes us to stay in story so that we're engaged with what's happening, but it also can keep us stuck in story and then prevent us from actually being in the moment because we're too wrapped up in story.
A dopamine overload would come in as well.
Sometimes it's more of a cortisol response because it has us stuck in stress loops, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we go from mind channel. The next one down in the level of consciousness is imagination. And I love imagination channel because it's a vehicle channel.
I love how you separated imagination from the mind as well. That's a really great separation of those 2 concepts.
Think about when you were a kid and you were bored. Your parents are like, no more screen time, no more television. And you're outside going, no, jeepers, here's this dirt and here's these sticks. And oh my God, we can build a fort. So that's imagination channel. And sometimes I think of it as it's sometimes where we go, not just to create, but to bring our truest forms of reality into creation, into actionable steps.
Like manifestation?
Yeah, but more than manifestation. Manifestation sometimes doesn't have actionable items to it. So imagination channel is somewhere that we can go to actually bring change into our life, and especially in a really positive way. Yeah. So imagination it's such an important channel, especially in somatics, because we can use it as if a person's stuck in an emotion or stuck somewhere in their body, we can use the imagination channel to imagine that shifting in the body, or imagine the emotion changing from anger, frustration, maybe over into acceptance. So it's a really great channel to utilize to have that the change, actionable change happen. And then, do you have a question?
No, I'm just so intrigued.
Yeah. So the next channel down in the level of consciousness is actually the body channel. So you can think of it as the posture channel. A good way to think about it is think about when you embody really strong emotions. Your body has a reaction, right? You put yourself in certain positions. Like someone really, really pisses us off. Our body is often like, we're gearing up to have motion in it.
I'll start breaking out in hives. When I get nervous or upset or have a negative feeling, my whole chest will just get splotchy red and I cannot hide it. It is such a visceral response to what I'm feeling on the inside.
Yeah. And is there any kind of tightness that comes along with it somewhere in your body?
I haven't noticed tightness, but I have noticed what feels like surging, pulsing electricity going through my body. It feels like heat. It feels like fast moving heat, if that makes sense. It makes me angry. And then how do I shake off this feeling?
Yeah. Our nervous systems are amazing because to break it down super, super simply, our nervous systems are either mobilizing energy, which is what you just described. However, sometimes the escalation can be really fast and sometimes the escalation continues. So how do we have that escalation of that energy stop? So for you, because there has to be an endpoint, it's this breaking out in hives. Your body channel is having this very visceral response to that mobilizing energy of a sympathetic nervous system.
I remember when I got on stage at the World Massage Festival to accept my award for Hall of Fame, I nearly threw up. Everybody else was such a great speaker. They were so eloquent. I was bawling, crying at their microphone. Splotchy chest, shaking. Man, I wish I had these tools before that speech because that was probably one of the most nerve-wracking moments. And I was so nervous. I just read through what I wrote. It was at the World Massage Festival. So I was in a class when I wrote my speech because I did it last minute because I'm a total procrastinator. And I just had to read straight from my phone. I was so embarrassed. I could not see myself looking at a crowd, being calm and being able to compose myself. But I knew I could get through it and I knew I had to. So I did the best thing I could, which was just read something I wrote, and it was very challenging because you feel all these crazy nerves and sensations through your body, to where I'm a very visceral person. I react very strongly to things, whether it be a substance or an emotion or something. It comes up in me so quickly. It's easy to recognize it. I personally struggle a little bit with not the recognition of it or the awareness of it, but the how to tamper it down. You know what I mean? Like how to get out of that state, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Basically, what it is there's only two ways that our nervous system operates. I love keeping things really simple for everyone instead of making it super complicated. Is the fact that our nervous system only recognizes two states: safety, danger. And your nervous system is always trying to keep you safe. Always. But sometimes it gets it wrong. Sometimes it's like, oh, danger, danger, when actually you're okay. Retraining our nervous system is not an easy task. I have a lot of empathy towards people who make very conscious decisions around that. And they're patterns that we've learned, from the moment we came into this world. So changing the patterns, it's exactly an easy process, or it's, sometimes not as timely as we want it to be. But it is something that we can do. We can train our nervous system that, this is safe. I am safe in this moment. I am okay in this moment. And ultimately, like everything you just described with your experience at the World Massage Festival was around that lens of safety or danger. Am I actually safe right now? And your body was having this, like you said, you're a super sensitive soul. So your body is having this very strong reaction to, is this safe? Am I safe right now?
How would you classify embarrassment or nervousness? Does that also fall under the category of your nervous system perceiving that as danger?
Yes. And I had a wonderful teacher years and years ago who used to tell me that fear is just excitement without breath.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So if you can recognize the actual energetics of what you're experiencing, it's often the charge is going up or down in the nervous system. So we're either getting that mobilizing energy, or I don't have that thing. I go way down into parasympathetic and I disconnect. I just functional freeze. So I'm there. I seem like I'm functioning, but inside I'm not there. I'm glad you mentioned dopamine before, because we need to be dopaminergic, meaning we need dopamine to engage with life. It's the chemical that actually helps us move towards things and want to achieve things and to have connection with others. So yes, there's chemical processes behind it, and we could go way into depth with that. In my online course, I do talk about the 5 different nervous system patternings and and how they happen and which part of the nervous system they're in, and tools that we can use to respond. But going back to the last 2 channels of awareness, first of all, the body channel, so important because it's the middle channel. So it's the communicator channel between our most conscious, our mind, and then comes imagination, then it's body channel, down all the way to our least conscious. And those next 2 channels are sensation. And you can think of sensation channel when you walk into a room and you've never been there before, and your body is doing that safety or danger thing. And you either get that pit in your stomach where you're like, ooh, vibes aren't good. When you get in the spidey feels and need to leave, you walk in and you're like, oh yeah, vibing. This is good. I want to be here. I want to insert myself into what's happening wherever you are. And so sensations are always really, really important. But unfortunately, we get told often as children that to discount them, to not listen to the sensation channel, that they're not as important as they actually are, which is a real bummer. And then the last channel of awareness is our emotions. And it's the channel that we have the least control over, or at least our mind likes to tell us that we have the least control over our emotions. So the trick with healing is actually to realize that letting go of control gives us more control.
I always say there's a difference between responding to something and reacting. I myself have to catch myself a lot. I'm not going to blame it on being a short-tempered Irish woman, but I do just tend to have a very low threshold for bullshit. So sometimes I'll react instead of respond, and I have to catch myself. No. Calm down. This isn't about you. Don't take it personally. What's really being said here?
Yeah, what's really at the core of this? I think that's a good point that you bring up, that a lot of us step into that, take it personally first, rather than staying in a place of curiosity and remain open. Curious and open, it doesn't mean that you agree. You don't have to agree with what is happening. You can completely, really disagree with,
or you can accept it.
But it doesn't mean that you have to be in reaction mode. But we do have a choice with our own boundaries, right? We can remove ourselves from the situations rather than feeding into a whole bunch of energy. And then usually what happens in reaction mode, what is it? The charge goes up for everyone involved.
That was such a great breakdown. I've heard of the concepts before, but never in a 1 to 5 break it down. I love the way you did that because it really helps compartmentalize all these different sensations going on in our body. And whenever you mentioned the sensory part of it too, it reminded me of some of my clients I work with in trauma informed. I worked a lot in the past with women who were victims of human trafficking. Of course, if they did want me to put my hands on them, of course, because there's different ways to work with them. And the very first thing I made sure of was they could see and knew exactly where the door was.
Yeah, that they had an escape route. Yeah, and that's so important because you're giving the control back to them.
Yeah. And even my draping is a little bit different with them as well, and how I do my consultations. And I feel like a lot of things can be solved or prevented by doing a proper consultation. I know sometimes, especially if we're working in fast-paced environments or if we have a lot of clients, it's kind of hard to do a really, really deep consultation with clients. They're just coming in and they're like, yeah, my neck hurts because I work at a computer all day. But at the end of the day, we know it's not only that contributing to it. So how far can people who are not self-employed really go into having these deeper conversations with clients?
And also keeping within our scope of practice. I know myself, one of the things that was confusing to me after I got trauma informed was, well, how the fuck do I know where my client is at? I'm not actually within the scope of practice allowed to have talk therapy. So it had to be very carefully structured. And that's how I came up with the 5 nervous system patternings, because I was noticing patterns were happening. This person is really armored, really protective. Oh, this person is overstimulated. This person is disconnected. It really helps you be able to really meet your client for that session, because you never know, they might come back the next time. Maybe they're not disconnected anymore, but maybe they've moved into another one of the nervous system patterns. So we don't have to have a gazillion techniques. It's really our application that matters the most.
And just listening to people, I think my curiosity and interest in this type of work came about whenever I was working at my first job in Austin. And yes, I do have a job. I did own a business before, and there's nothing wrong with deciding to shut down that business in order to regulate your nervous system. So when I moved to Austin, oh girl, and talk about a blow. We were talking about ego earlier off camera. Talk about a blow to the ego. You move to a new town and you're the shit. You're new. You know you're amazing, but these employers have no idea who you are, or that you have a podcast, or you had a successful business for over a decade. They don't know and they don't care, right? So it was really a blow to my ego. Like, am I really gonna go work for somebody doing massages for $30 to $50? But anyways, when I was working at this place, I had a client come in and she basically wanted the shit beaten out of her, or that's what her chart said, right? Her notes and stuff. And I just thought to myself, God damn it. I feel myself about to have an EDS flare up. I am not about to go to Pound Town on somebody today. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing deep tissue. I'm not. And it was about me at first. So the client walks in the door. I took one look at her, and speaking of scope, I accidentally blurted out. I did not plan this, but I accidentally blurted out, what are your emotional needs for the day? And she immediately burst into tears. She said, I just got out of a wake of my best friend's 15-year-old daughter who committed suicide. Yeah, this is a really difficult time for me. And I said, are you open to trying something a little bit different than what you normally receive during your services here? Because I think that you would really benefit from different type of work that I do. And while I was working on her shoulders, they were really tight. Her scapulas were tight. And I was just thinking to myself, they're just tight because little angel wings are trying to grow out of them, you know? And after the massage, she told me that she was imagining little angels flying around. I love that because I gave her what she needed that day, not assumed that she just wanted me to repeat the same patterns that she's gotten every other time. And it took me tapping into those senses and intuition and seeing beyond what her soap notes said to see what she really needed that day. And I only saw her that one time. It was one of the most life-changing massages that I've done for myself and for the client. And it was really
it was powerful for both of you. And I think that's a great topic that you're bringing up, is the client's perception of needs, because they often don't know, because all they've been taught about massage therapy is that there's deep tissue, there's sports, and then there's Swedish kind of thing. So in their minds, they're like, that's my choices. And instead, if we could actually remain open and remain curious and kind of do what you do and be like, what is it that you actually need today? the work that I do has been really profound, not just for the client, but also for me. Continue to learn from it, right? And I imagine you do too. I think any really good body worker or massage therapist, if we can remain in that curious place with our clients, it can be such a game changer for us as a therapist too, because we can come in with this preconceived agenda, right? I know what will help them. And yes, it's true. We often do know what will help them, but will it help them in that exact moment? Is that what they need right then and there? Like you said, when they're coming in, they're like, my neck and my shoulders. And then you get in there and you're like, is it this? Is it actually their neck and shoulders? What's actually happening here?
It like dating, right? We can only meet where they're at, not where we want them to be. We can't force them to be in a place that they're not. We have to meet them where they're willing to grow and stuff. What got you interested in this type of work? What was your first experiences with it?
Goodness.
Did you receive first and you were like, holy shit, this is it?
A little bit. I've been really fortunate in my really long career because I've been doing this for more than 30 years. I was very kind of mechanical.
High five over the screen because that's incredible. 30 years.
I know. And I recently had someone on one of my posts comment and be like, that looks so hard on the therapist. But here we go. This is my choice of how I would like to do body work. It doesn't have to be your choice to do the techniques that I do. We all get to choose what feels in alignment for us as massage therapists and body workers. And isn't that a beautiful thing? It's a beautiful fucking thing. And we can also have the lens of, isn't it amazing that there's so many different modalities that if a client who's not a good fit with me, just like you were talking about earlier off camera, you can refer them to someone else. That's a beautiful thing. But sometimes we use it for an opportunity to divide ourselves, which I just think is asinine. But that's my personal opinion on it. I don't want to ever say your techniques don't work as well as my techniques. Who am I to know? All of our clients are different. And maybe in that moment, what will suit that client is Rebecca's techniques, not Tracey's techniques. So it's a wonderful thing that there's so many different modalities. And I love that.
Really, but I get so annoyed at the whole black and white.
Yeah, it's not black and white. It's not.
You either do medical style or you're a hippie shaman wearing tie-dye beating drums around people. Yes, oh God, as long as it's not Enya. I don't think it's Enya, but fine chanting. Like actually the other day I made a playlist and I guess some of the songs got mixed on it. But right during the middle of the massage, like the most awkward, for me it's fine, but it disturbed the client because some chanting started coming up in the music and they lifted their head off the table. And I said, no, it's okay. I'll skip the song. I'm so sorry.
Whoops.
Better than mating whales, though. Anything is better than that.
Yeah, I think you named it really well. In the moment, if you do have those awkward moments like within sessions, don't leave it being the elephant in the room. Stop everything, talk to your client, be like, oh my gosh, let me skip the song. I see that it's kind of awkward vibes, and don't have that weird energy in the room anymore. Probably, can I ask you, like this song, did the energy change in the room again?
Yeah, they fell right back asleep. But it was just that the vocal of the music was so out of place with everything else that I had put. And then, of course, the other day I put on lo-fi music and I had it on 1.5 times speed. But I didn't hear it in my mind at 1.5 times speed because that's how my brain works. So I was thinking, this music's kind of weird today. I don't know if I like this playlist. It was my favorite playlist. I just had it on really fast. Client didn't notice. It can completely change the whole vibe because during the middle of the massage, I as a therapist should not be concerned with how the music sounded. I should be focused completely on my client. So that distracted me. I was still present for the session, but it's like, okay, maybe I should have slowed down a little bit before the appointment, made sure the ambience was set up perfect and not just rushed into it.
Just like we were talking before, speed limit affects outcome. And that's not just applying to techniques, it's applying to the music that you're playing in the room. It's applying to how you are personally as a therapist in your personal speed limit before you come in to work, before you meet your clients for the day. It has a huge
out the door at the end of the session.
Because some of the unspoken stuff that's happening in our massage rooms is co-regulation is happening with our nervous systems. Whether we want it to or not, it's going to happen. And it is happening. So we can't deny that it is a part of what is going to factor into that session with our client. And their nervous system is going to affect our nervous system as well as our nervous system is going to affect their nervous system.
I mean, that feeling is very apparent whenever we walk into a room and we can just kind of sense somebody's vibe and it completely changes our mood too, and transference as well. Do you find that, since I said the word transference, I'm just thinking in my mind like, okay, there's transference and then there's co-regulation. What do you find to be the big differences between those two?
Two forms of regulation with our nervous system. One is self-regulation. We normally learn it as children through our parental caregivers, our parents or whoever is looking after us. And sometimes we don't learn it very well. We don't learn how to self-regulate until we're in our 20s or 30s, or maybe even older. And so we are continually relying on others to help us regulate our own emotional state. And so that's partly sometimes what our clients are looking for, is to have someone aid them in emotionally regulating, because it's manifesting in their body. So it's presenting as neck and shoulders are up here. I'm so stressed. I don't know what to do. One of my big things that I noticed, I used to have a brick and mortar business. I had lots of employees. It was super successful. I did it for 12 years. And one of the nervous system patterns I always recognized that showed up was overstimulated. So they come in and then you're making them be still in their body. So that overstimulation, it has to go somewhere. And usually it all comes out here. And so the whole time they're laying on the table and you started the session and they're going, and so this morning, the barista, she made the cutest little pattern on my coffee. And then the coffee took forever. Oh, the coffee shop, it was so loud. I could hear everyone. And then I tried to go into the restaurant, and they're telling you things that you're kind of like, why is this important to them? Why is this moment the moment to share this with me? And instead looking past the story, because they're stuck in mind channel, and being the energy is trying to disperse itself somewhere.
Way of looking at that.
And that particular nervous system presentation type is hard because they're stuck in mind channel, everything's super overstimulated, and then you've taken away the option for them to move their body, which is often how the overstimulated nervous system then navigates through life. They're usually really active people, they're really fidgety, their body's always busy in some way. Yeah. So then when they're forced to actually lay still on the massage table, oh my God, all that energy has to come out somewhere. I do have some tips in my online course about it. Breath work is going to be one of the most primary things, because they can't speak if they're actually doing a little bit of breath work. And two, you're going to change the tone of the vagal nerve. So in just that, doing that really simple breath work techniques, you're changing the tone of the vagal nerve so that it actually changes the tone of the nervous system so they actually can settle down into their body and be okay with it.
How would you describe the vagus nerve to a new massage therapist who might not be aware of how important of a role it plays in bodywork sessions?
Don't worry about it right now is what I'd say.
Like massages and feel good and see what.
But it is actually, all humor aside, it is a extremely important piece of the puzzle of what we're doing. And the more we actually understand about the vagus nerve, the easier it is for us as the therapist. So it is important to realize that it plays an enormously important role in what we're doing. It plays a role in co-regulation, which is what is happening with our nervous systems with our clients in the massage room. So while at first I would probably joke and be like, don't worry about it right now, or there's other lenses that we need to focus on first. But yeah, becoming vagal nerve informed is, if you do want to work towards having deep, profound changes for your clients, it's a very important piece to bring in.
Yes. How would you describe, if somebody said, Tracey, what does somatic bodywork mean? How would you describe that?
Oh my gosh, and there's so many different forms of somatics these days.
Like their podcast episodes.
Exactly. Worth of content. I would just say that it is a body-based practice rather than the massage therapy industry standard of a muscular-based practice. Hopefully you got the difference there. Most massage therapists, how we're taught, is a muscular-based practice. We are concentrating on the muscular system itself versus a body-based practice, which brings in everything that happens in the body, which includes how we feel things. So our interoception, our proprioception, all the perceptions, they all come into play there. So it's an important distinction to realize as therapists. I don't want to come across as that it's lesser than if you're a massage therapist that is concentrating purely on the muscular-based approach. That is an important approach. It is needed in today's world. Please know that I'm not saying that it's a lesser than approach. It's just a different approach. One of the things I always tell myself is, My clients come in and they're like, it's my hip, my hip, my hip. And sometimes it's not until halfway through a session that some other things are evolving there. Hips are a big place. I hate to use the term storing emotions, and I don't look at it from that actual point of view. But if you look at it from a nervous system point of view or a trauma-informed point of view, what happens are our trauma responses. They are flight, fight, freeze, and fawn. So the 4 Fs. And if we're going into a fight response, the energy is mobilizing in the body. It's moving up the body because we're getting ready to fight. Think caveman, where, actually going to be engaging with this person, like physically. Energy moves up the body. It's more here. It's the people that come in like, this is more of a fight trauma response. Yeah, it's going to be more upper body. Versus if you have someone who has a flight trauma response, what are they doing? They're getting ready to run. Flight responses, what muscles are engaging? All of your big mobilization ones. It's your psoas, it's your iliacus, it's your glutes, it's your thighs, so it's your quads, it's your hamstrings. And it's why I say that really in every single massage session, we should never ignore the psoas muscle, because that bracing that happens when I was talking about the 5 channels of awareness and the sensation channel, when we go into the room, when we get the spidey feels like this is not okay. Part of what's happening is we're contracting our psoas muscle. Are we okay in this exact moment? And our psoas muscle is going, I don't know yet, but I'm bracing, I'm getting ready.
I'm now going to be paying attention to my psoas muscle whenever I feel like I need to run from something. And
it's super fascinating when you get into the anatomical changes that happen through our trauma lens.
So you said that you're from Australia. Did you go to school there?
Well, actually, that's how I ended up being a bodyworker and a massage therapist. I didn't mean to. I was going to school. I did 5 years of college, and I was studying to become a naturopathic doctor. And I got that degree, and then I fell in love with this American dude, and was like, okay, I'll come to America. My little cute 20-something-year-old self. I think this would be a big adventure. It was a big adventure, but I couldn't. The license didn't transfer for the naturopathic doctor part. I was so bummed at first. Wow, I just did this 5 years of training, and I can't use it, and that's so sad. What am I going to do? And there was this level of grief around it. And then I found out that because my college was really smart, for the first year that we did our naturopathy school, they actually trained us to become massage therapists so that we could then work as massage therapists and help put ourselves through college as we went along for the extra 4 years. And I found out that transferred. So I was like, great, I can be a massage therapist. That's wonderful. That's a place I can start. And little did I know that 30 years later that it was going to be my main gig for most of my adult life. I've done it all. Owned a successful brick and mortar. I now have like a home practice. I've had a practice within a natural food store. I've worked for other people as an independent contractor and as an employee. I've managed like a 5-star 14-room spa. Like I've done so many different things, and it's like given me like a real diversity and also an understanding, like when people are like, oh, I'm in this position in the industry. Yeah, because it's very different, right? We do it for different reasons. And personally, I think there's nothing wrong with going back to work for somebody else. When I owned my brick and mortar and had 12 to 14 employees, I wouldn't have had the business without them.
Yes, I talk a lot in the group about emotional labor, which I'm going to be doing a lot more blogs and post on and interviewing people, but that invisible labor that we do and how much that can affect us. And that's exactly why I chose to go work at a bougie ass spa that I love, love, love being there. My teammates are amazing. They're all my close friends, but I get to clock out and go home and not worry about having to follow up with clients or if somebody wrote me I still always worry about whether they wrote me a review or not, but it's so much better for my nervous system to have the entire week to myself. Then the ADHD person in me is like, okay, I'm just going to crank everything out on the weekends and go to Pound Town. And not quite, because I do limit myself to maybe 4 or 5 hours at max. I think I do about 3 is my sweet spot. So like you, my little origin story is out of high school, I was saving up all my money to move to Austin, which I'm here now, but it took me 15 years. So
still have to make goals.
So right after high school, I was saving up all my money, waiting tables to move to Austin to go to naturopathy school. And that was my first love, is herbal medicine, naturopathy, holistic health. And then I couldn't find a good program in Louisiana. So I'm like, okay, I'll move in a couple of years after I save up. And I accidentally picked up a friend from work that was in the same building as a massage school. and signed up and went to school the next day. My mom was so pissed. Why now? Because I made it to a successful career, but basically it was such a spontaneous decision. And I took one look at the curriculum. I read my mom's nursing book. I can get through anatomy. This shit's easy. It's not. It turns out I suck at anatomy. Yeah, my first love was herbal medicine and naturopathy. I go foraging all the time.
Oh, I love it.
It's so great to be multi-passionate.
Yes. Wrong with like having like a focus. I think really depends on, I love that you're bringing it up through the nervous system lens. Like, what is our capacity and bandwidth right now? Our nervous systems are relational. They're not meant for force. Anytime we move into force with our nervous system, whether we're trying to like increase capacity and increase bandwidth, it can be interpreted as danger because our nervous system doesn't have the capacity and the bandwidth. So it's going to be like, there's only two states, safety, danger. This feels like danger, even though it maybe is not, but it's trying to keep you safe by not going beyond what your capacity is. Because if we go beyond capacity, that's where stress lives, that's where disconnection lives, that's where depression lives, illnesses can live. It's so important to recognize that each of us has a very, very unique nervous system, and it's going to navigate completely different than everyone else's. There's common themes, but they're still very unique to us.
People that might be interested in the art of transformational touch, if they're like, what is this about in a nutshell? What can they experience from your class and your type of work?
So I do everything from a nervous system informed place, because I think and I shouldn't say just, being trauma informed gives you knowledge. However, sometimes it doesn't give you application. Being nervous system informed gives you application, meaning like, you know how to like move towards the person rather than being confused about what I should actually be, doing in this moment. So I operate from a nervous system informed place. And then I'm a huge fan of movement. Anyone who watches all my videos can see that, I'm bringing in a lot of movement into somatic body work sessions that I'm doing. And more traditional somatic body work doesn't have that included. And there's a lot of reasons I'm doing that. We hold patterns, just like I was talking about with the trauma response of flight. And there's like chronic bracing that happens in the body with that. For people who are chronic trauma responses, they'll often have really chronic long-term hip and pelvic girdle manifestations. If it's just presenting as hips and we just do very kind of stable things, we're not going to break up that held pattern in the body. So on purpose, I call them novel somatic positionings, where I purposely move the body around and put it in different positions. And that's very purposeful because I'm telling the body that it is okay and it is safe to be in these patterns of positions that aren't familiar. And by doing that, I'm expanding the capacity of the nervous system to know that safety lays in other ways of movement in our bodies.
Yes, I see that with the majority of the clients that I work on, the pattern that I see the most is the arm. I can tell that during the day at work, they're clenching their fists, they're clenching their jaw. I can feel the tension in their arms and in their hands. And then when I get to the TMJ, it's like, oh, you don't grit your teeth at night. You're holding this during the day at the desk. I can tell you're walking on eggshells at home. I can just tell all these little things. And of course, tell me you're a massage therapist if you've ever worked on a client's arm and you let go of it and you're like, here you go, in the air, and you're like, can't relax. No, you're not. Your arm is literally still floating in the air.
The important thing to remember is that for them, that is their interpretation of relax in that moment. It's not that they're not relaxed. It's that for them, that feels actually true in that moment. I am relaxed because that's what relax means to them. It's important for us as a therapist not to jump into this place of, whoa, here we go. But instead, there's your version of relax. Got it. How can we move you into a different version of relaxed?
It's gotten so prevalent these days that even before I start my sessions, I tell clients, whether they've gotten massage a million times or if it's their first one, I'll tell them sometimes during massage, I can feel tension in the muscles that you are not quite aware of. So if you feel me wiggle your arm a little bit, all that means is I feel tension, and just try to be a wet noodle and just drop your weight. Because I don't want to verbally tell them in the middle of the massage, relax your arm, because that's not conducive and they don't know.
Also, it's their interpretation of relax. So if you say, relax your arm, maybe their version of what relax my arm is actually holding it out there. So that's true for them versus to us as the massage therapist. Relax your arm means make it heavy, take all the tension out of it, essentially give up the control to the practitioner or the therapist. Our verbiage that we use is so important because relax also has all these different connotations with it. I love that you're prepping the client beforehand and being like, oh, if this happens, here's a moment where we have this opportunity, change this held pattern in the body. Or here's this opportunity that I'm going to give you. Instead of you actually going to your default and holding your arm out, you could actually really keep your limb heavy, keep it in contact with the table, let me move it around without you assisting me. Because after all, I make jokes about it. I'm like, after all, you're paying me. But hey, if you want to do some of my workload, I'm all down with that. But just know at the end of the day, you're still paying me.
Right.
Regardless of whether you help or not.
Consultation is my favorite part of the session because you get to know people. And I'll often tell people too, if it's their first massage, the sensations that they might feel during the massage. So I'll tell them if I go over a quote knot, and I hate using that word, but if I go over an area of tension or not, it can feel a little uncomfortable. That's okay. But if it's painful, if it's past a level 6 on your pain scale, then it's too much and it's okay to let me know. Luckily, I can read the muscles, so I hardly ever have a client tell me anything. But I tell them massage might feel it can feel a little ticklish. Or if I hit a trigger point, you might feel a surge of energy going down a limb or something. Just pay attention to what you're feeling in your body because you don't have to sit there and just be a brick on my table and be completely silent and just withstand it and tolerate it, but really listen to your body and
teaching. Simply what you're naming there is you're naming the process of introception. So the client becoming more aware of the sensations that are happening within their body. And the more that we're aware of what's happening in that introception place actually helps us break those held patterns in the body once again, because there's awareness around it rather than just being like, oh, my lower back hurts.
You saying introception makes me think of massageception, massage within a massage within a.
There's so many things at play that, we don't name or talk about that's going on with our clients. And I love that you're bringing this opportunity into the session with your clients, by prefacing things with them. If this happens, we're not saying that it will. If this happens, this is an opportunity moment.
I've seen a lot of therapists online post charts and stuff of different emotions, or not like the soap note charts with the outline of the body or whatever, but naming off the different emotions they feel and stuff. And I find that to be very conducive for that type of work. I'll have to pull up some pictures and stitch them in the video, but I find that to be really educational and supportive for the client to understand what they're getting into before they even get on the table as well.
Yeah, I love the idea of little cards and they have emotions named on them. Today I'm feeling stressed. Today I'm feeling depressed. Today I'm feeling this. And then I often say, spread them out on the table, pick what feels appropriate. Sometimes it's hard for the client to find the exact words to tell you. If you give them all the options, they can kind of narrow it down and be like, oh yeah, that is what I'm feeling. It's not just stress, I'm feeling anxiety. I'm going to pick, yes, I'm feeling anxiety today.
There's a thing that my friend has at her house. I'll send you a picture of it because it's so cool. And it's a little wooden plaque, I guess, that has the emotions and moods written on it and a little hole by it to where you could put a little peg in it. And I was thinking when I saw that at my friend's house, I was like, oh my God, I need to get one of these for my clients because I could just tell them to mark off what they're feeling. I would know without them having to go into a lot of detail verbally with me.
Yeah. And they're great tools. I remember when my son, who's now 23, when he used to come home from middle school, and I'd say, name your emotions when you come in the door, because here I am, Mom, I'm excited for you to come home and hear about your day. And he would be like, I just want to go in my room and slam the door and be by myself.
And they have their own experiences,
and they don't usually have the words. They're not taught how to name it. One of the things we would do would be come in the door and I'd be excited to see him, or sometimes I would have had a hard day. So I would say things like, hey, Nate, Mom's had a bit of a challenging day. I'm feeling some anxiety. I need some alone time. I need to take the dog for a walk. Or he would come in and say, the best day, we did this, we did art, I love the painting thing. So it was a way for us to be able to meet each other without the friction.
Yes. So one of my friends taught ESL in Vietnam, and she would do that. She would have a chart or not a chart, but she would give the kids an option of greeting her with the hug, with the fist bump, with the high five, an elbow bump, or just nothing.
Yeah.
And I love that she gave the students the opportunity to do that, because she could tell who was in a good mood that day and who was just kind of who she needed to keep an eye on a little bit more maybe in her class. And I felt that was really, really cool.
Well, I love that, you brought that into the conversation, because it's a way to get clarification about, where people are navigating and orientating from, like, in that moment, like what's happening for them. Are they like, it's too much. Like, I'm feeling super overwhelmed.
We can't take things personally. I have a good regular client and I love her to death. She comes to me every 3 weeks on the dot, but this past time she didn't rebook. And at first I was like, shit, is it me? And then I had to quickly remind myself, no, this woman told me that her mother literally just passed away. She needs time. She does not want to get touched right now. Whenever she's grieving and dealing with her family, she'll come back to me whenever she's ready. And sure enough, she texted me to book out a couple of months from now. But at first I took it personally. I'm like, oh shit, I thought my massages helped with the grieving process, because I pride myself on doing some bereavement work as well. And I had to remind myself it wasn't about me, what she needed in that moment and how much time she needed to process.
That's a great lens to look at things with, not take it personally and instead be like, what's happening for them?
For students who are interested in your class, I know there's an online version because I'm in it and currently going through the modules. Are you teaching in person as well?
Yes, I have a very busy schedule.
Her calendar link below. So if you're interested in the classes, you can see where she'll be teaching. But how long are your in-person courses?
Either do a foundations course, which is 2 days and 12 CEs. So I am a approved provider with NCB TMB. And then I also teach immersives and retreats, which are usually around 24 CEs, and they're anywhere. If I do an immersive, then that's just a 4-day course. If I do a retreat, I try to make it like a 5 or 6 day that we do the 24 CEs through. I'm actually doing a retreat this November. I've got 2 spaces left. It's almost full. That's at a hot springs resort here in Southern Colorado where I live. It's beautiful and ridiculous. And then I teach, all over North America, Canada, Europe. Many different countries.
What city has been your favorite so far that you visited, Todd?
My goodness. You know what? I was surprised how much I fell in love with Romania. I've been there 3 times to teach now, and it's such a beautiful city. The people, so warm and welcoming, and I love the culture, everything about it. And I didn't expect that. The language is ridiculously hard, but the country and the city itself is absolutely stunning and ridiculous and beautiful. I love going to France to teach.
Are your retreats, are they international or within the US?
So far just within the US, but I probably will start doing some international ones coming up. Typically I do more immersives when I go to other countries, just because of the logistics. It's a lot. It's a that's happening. Sometimes I think that's hard to remember, is that, a lot of planning and a lot of logistics. They're amazing. They can be really, really transformative and profound experiences for people, especially if they're part of, you asked me earlier what got me into this more somatic and nervous system based and trauma informed space. Part of it has been my own journey. And then I see others who were like me when I was doing this thing and I had no language around it. Clients were coming out of the room and just being like, whoa, that just changed my life. I didn't have language around what was actually happening. And so it was a little confusing for me, and it would be a little confusing for the client too, until I finally got this lens of, I need to be able to have language to name what's actually happening here. And then it just took off. And that's what I love doing with my students, is giving them language around what is actually happening for them and for their clients, so that they're so much more equipped to go back out there and be like, aha, this is what's actually happening. I can name it for myself. I can name it with my clients. And clients love it when you're able to give them clarity.
That's the one word I was just thinking, was it really creates clarity around what they're feeling and the mood and everything. Tracey, for anybody who might be listening, is there anything else you wanted to add regarding your amazing courses and retreats and everything?
One of my biggest things is, I don't want to make you a robot. I don't believe in it. I don't particularly believe in X technique equals Y result. It can, However, sometimes if we stay too much in the box of X technique equals Y result, it doesn't allow us to be curious about what is actually happening with the client right there, and perhaps being able to change it up, because we get stuck in this agenda of, oh, I know what will help you, rather than being curious and being like, oh, maybe it's going to be this thing with this tweak, with this other little thing accompanying it. While I love to tell people, I teach Balmer techniques. They're no bullshit techniques. You will get results. You will get physical results. You will get emotional results. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've really honed in on what works in certain ways. However, if you have your own style that you want to bring to that technique, hell's yeah, as long as it's safe, physically and emotionally, safe for you as a practitioner, safe for them to receive as the client. Yeah, but part of what I believe is that when we all are operating from a very, very authentic place ourselves, and we're in alignment as the therapist, we can help people just so much better than if we're just trying to regurgitate a certain technique. My teacher said, if I do this a very certain way, it's going to help you this way. It restricts us. Instead, if we allow ourselves to bring in what feels true for us, keeping in mind, saying this with the caveat of doing it with safety, your safety, body mechanics for you. You want longevity and sustainability with your career, and also safety for your client. Do it in the way that feels more authentic for you. Yes, one of my big things is not every technique that I teach is going to be a good fit for every student. Let's find what works for you individually. So I purposely keep my classes smaller. I don't tend to have, huge, large classes. So having said that, earlier this year, I taught for the New Hampshire chapter of AMPTA, and I had 42 students, and it was a little crazy because our classroom had no heating. It was New Hampshire. It looked big. The classroom was 55 degrees, and we had so much fun. So normally my classes, I like to make sure that I don't leave any person behind. I like to make sure that your financial investment and time investment that you're choosing to spend your most precious non-renewable resource with me, your time, and you can't replace that. So I want you to walk away with things that are going to serve you. So sometimes that means leaving the script. Sometimes that means I have to divert from what I originally had planned. But beautiful things come out of it. So long version of me saying that I love to individualize. I love to help people and therapists in their own unique way that serves them.
Yes, Tracey. So earlier you mentioned breath work and stuff. Do you also do sound therapy within your sessions?
Really? Yeah, I would love to include more of it. I have a dear friend in France who is freaking the bomb at it, and every time she gives me a session, I'm like, whoa.
I do a lot of sound bowl massage where I'll put the bowl right on the sternum.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's so good. I definitely want to get more into learning more about sound therapy, and any somatic class I can take, sign me up. Down for learning it all. The mind-body connections is so important. It's kind of like with modern medicine, right? If we isolate a symptom and just work on that, are we really treating the root of the problem, or are we just treating the symptom?
Yeah, and that's a great way of putting it. I think it's part of the difference with when you move more towards that body-based practice, because then your lens changes, right? You're not just thinking attachment points. You're still thinking attachment points or, anatomy based. However, it can bring in so much more potential within sessions.
Yes, Tracey, thank you so much. This was such a wonderful little mini interview, and we're definitely going to put the links and everything that we talked about in the show notes, so check this out. But thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me a little bit about this. It's super exciting to see that there's so many amazing educators out there who are teaching this type of non-black and white body.
Thank you. And thank you for the invitation. Yeah. And my hope is that this hasn't come across as preachy and that everyone has to do my form of bodywork. I always say all the time that it's so wonderful there's so many different modalities within our industry, because it means if it's not a good fit with me, it means I've got someone to refer the person to. So rather than using it as an opportunity for division, I think we should be looking at the differences in our modalities as a collective, that we can use it collectively.
That is so very true. This is exactly why I started Badass Body Workers, is to be able to meet amazing people like you and just keep learning. And I learn new stuff every day.